Our man Will Z joining us from the coast of California right now to talk Kings basketball. Well, I just chuckled because I looked down at my computer and was like, "What is this? What is this window open at the bottom?" And I still have my Devin Carter film open from Saturday here on a different browser. Uh, Will, thanks for joining us. Two, we'll get to Neek and Maxime, of course, for those just tuning in, we're not going to see Maxime Renault tonight. Sean Cunningham reported he's dealing with wrist soreness from something that happened on Saturday, so he will be out tonight. But I do want to talk about what you've seen from him so far, Will. But I do want to start with Devin Carter. I had expectations for him entering the summer league, and it was I wanted him to look exactly like he looked on Saturday. Did you have any expectations for Devin Carter? Is there anything that you wanted to see from him this summer league?
Yeah, I think like a lot of other people, it was just, can we see him? Like the whole thing is the point guard position, and like I know you've talked about it a lot, but like that to me feels like his only avenue to really find playing time is if he can get into that point guard role. And I don't know if we've seen that yet. I know the 30 points is great, but it still doesn't feel like he's the type of point guard that Scott Perry kind of wants. Um, but obviously, like the points are great. But to me, I think I just keep going back to the first game more so than the second game, and the two of them balance out so much where they're on like two opposite ends of the spectrum, where you've got the one that was really good and the one that was really bad. Um, but I keep going back to like the very first few minutes of the first game when he had an open three in transition. I think Neek cut to the rim and passed it out to him, and
Mm-hmm.
he had the open three and he didn't take it. I don't remember if he passed or drove it and missed or whatever, but just if he's going to make this Kings team, he's going to need to do different things, I think, than we saw in the second game. And part of that is just catch and shoot threes. And maybe it's because it was his first game and he's been in all the trade rumors and he had a lot on his mind, but um, I just keep kind of coming back to that and wondering, trying to look at what he's doing now and put that into his possible role with the roster as currently constructed.
Mm-hmm.
And I still just don't see it. But maybe I'm with you. I'm not super high on him. So maybe that's just my kind of bias leaning into it a little bit more.
I think more than not being super high on him, I'm not super high on the idea asking him to do something new,
Hmm.
like asking him to do something different, like as the point guard. But I will give him credit. I thought he looked shaky and uncomfortable with the ball in his hand in game
Yep.
one, and he just looked completely different in game two. And you
Hmm.
take the 10 of 13 aside, you take the 5 of 7 from three, you could take that stuff completely out of the equation and just watch him with the ball in his hands, watching him take the ball off the rim and lead a break, watching him kind of facilitate the offense. He looked like a completely different player from the first game to the second. And I'm not an athlete. I don't know what, because it's not like he got substantially better than than he was, 2
Right.
days prior. He had obviously just had a bad game, a bad outing, a bad whatever, but he looked so much more comfortable in
Hmm.
game number 2. And even with that said, I just don't, looking comfortable as kind of the facilitator and the lead guard in a summer league game is one thing, but doing it when the best defenders in the world are running back on defense trying to stop you, that's an entirely different thing. Of course, you
Yeah.
got better players around you. I just don't love the idea, and it's the same with Neek. I don't love trying to force someone into that position because you have too many guys who can't actually play that position.
Right.
It's just not my favorite approach that the Kings might be taking because we've heard Devin as potential backup point guard minutes, and we've heard Neek as and not necessarily backup point guard minutes, but potential point guard minutes. And I don't love either of those things.
Yeah. And it's possible where it might not matter as much as we're all making it out to be, because there's a difference about of being like a point guard when like Dylan Cardwell is your center.
Hmm.
Obviously, like Reno still kind of falls in the category of Sabonis, but there's a difference of being a point guard with a like pick and roll center, like a rim runner, and a point guard paired with Demonis Sabonis. Like Sabonis is still going to probably get more of those kind of ball handling when Schroeder's out. So it's possible it could work, and that's all on Doug Christie and the coaching staff and the offensive scheme. Like, can they make the backup point guards who maybe aren't backup point guards lives easier by setting up an offense where they don't have to do as much and run it through Sabonis more, which I don't think we saw as much last year. So that's one thing I'll be looking at as the season kind of starts is what's the what does that all look like, and do we get more of the kind of Sabonis centric offense back that we saw in the last few years? But I'm with you. Like both of them, I do think I like Neek more in that role than Carter.
Mm-hmm.
He looks a little smoother to me in that like point guard spot. Um, but I don't know.
Well, you talk about the Sabonis-centric offense, that can lead us into a conversation about Maxime Renaud. You said when you joined the
Mhm.
stream during the commercial break, man, it's a bummer he's not playing tonight. He's out with the sore wrist. He was a guy when drafted, people were really talking about like he was a first-round pick. Of course, you look at some of the mock drafts and some of the big boards and stuff had him much higher than 42 where he wound up going. And then there's, conversations about him angling his way, wanting to get to Sacramento, wanting to play in Sacramento. And these first two games will have given us a pretty good indication, I think, or I don't want to say an indication. That's probably a little bit too strong, but it's given us a pretty good, like if we used our imagination a little bit and thought, hey, what would it look like if he was out there on the floor with Domantas Sabonis? Like what, or what could he look like if he's out there in place of Domantas Sabonis? He offers a lot of differences that Kings fans have been, and not just Kings fans, but like I know we'll talk to James Hammond about 30 minutes. James has been screaming for, a 4 or 5 who could stretch the floor and shoot the three a little bit. And these first two games have shown Max might be that guy.
Yeah. And it's so exciting. It's like we finally got a true like stretch five.
Mm.
Like and I think it is a really good pairing with Sabonis. And his shot's a little slow, but at the same time he's 7'1", so maybe it doesn't matter. But to me, I wrote an article this morning on like 3 bold predictions based on summer league games because it's summer league and gotta write about something, so why not overreact?
Yeah.
And my bold prediction for Renault was that he'll be starting by the end of the season. I
Okay.
think that just his ability to do so many things on the floor, to fit with Sabonis, to push Keegan back down to the 3. I have no idea who would come out of the starting spot. I didn't get into that because I don't know who would
It's
come out.
dangerous territory. Yeah, Will, you
It
want to
is.
start six, you want to
I was
start
like,
6
well,
guys. Yeah.
we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah.
But in terms of like play style, I think that the two of them work really well together. Like him being able to step out and hit the 3, and it's not just him hitting the 3, but also Sabonis proving last year that he can hit the 3. He didn't shoot at high volume, but that still leaves room for Renault to operate inside, which he's shown great touch and great like post up. I know he probably won't post up as much as he is now, but his touch inside can still be utilized with Sabonis out there as well because Sabonis has more of a consistent 3-point shot as well. So it's not just Renault being able to step out and hit the 3, but vice versa. Sabonis being able to space out and hit the 3. And can they run a true 5-out offense, which is one of the most lethal ways to kind of build an offense, I think, now, and have every person who's out there be a threat from 3.
Yeah, and that's the key word. Will, the threat to hit that 3 can change the way things go for a lot of guys, especially Domas down in the block, who I guess I'll just continue to beg for him to shoot 14 or 15 times per game instead of 12 or 13. But I guess that's just a hill I'm gonna die and rot on because there's nothing in his career that shows that's ever gonna happen.
No.
So just when you see me sitting on that hill, just give me a glass of water and let me, live a month longer before I ultimately die. Because it just won't happen.
Yeah.
So that's Max. So you've got a hot take for Maxime Renault. What about
Mhm.
Neek? Neek is another guy who both of these guys played really, really well in those first two games. Neek will go tonight unless we hear something within the next 4.5 hours or so. We expect Neek to go tonight, and he's been a guy who has had different bursts of fourth quarter Neek here in
Mhm.
in these first two games. But what have been your impressions of the first round pick so far?
He's just so poised, like both him and Renault, but Nick especially. I think he just has such a good feel for the game, and his ability to find the ball off the boards and get the rebounds is such a underrated skill. I think the size, like everything, just looks so polished for a rookie, and like it makes sense. He's a 5-year senior, right? If I'm remembering right, and Renault was 4. That it makes sense for him to kind of have that advanced feel for the game, but it's just how he affects the game in so many ways on defense, on offense, passing, rebounding. He can do a little bit of everything, and that's where it comes in the difference between like him and Carter. Like there's such a clear avenue for him to help this team win because he can do a different thing on a night-to-night basis or can like slot into whatever the Kings need for that moment. Like if they need him to score, maybe go score. If they need him to just defend, just go defend. If they need him to just focus on rebounding, go do that. But I think his skill set is so diverse that fits into the holes in the Kings rosters. So if they go like a defense heavy roster or defense heavy lineup, maybe he does a little more on offense or vice versa. If they go offense, I don't remember which one I said, but you get the picture.
Mhm.
And then same thing with his position. I think he can play multiple positions of need. Um, Not like backup point guard. I still don't know if that's his like ultimate calling card,
Mhm.
but the Kings have two spots, either the backup point guard or the backup three, and he
Mhm.
can do either of those, I think. So he has a clear pathway to kind of a key rotational spot that I'm really excited to see how much they use him and what they use him on the NBA team.
You very obviously think highly of Max and his ability
Mhm.
to kind of impact this rotation immediately. Do you feel the same about Neek?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and I think that's good. I'm. Do you know? Maybe you know Doug a little bit more than most. Do you know what his coaching style with young players is going to be, or do you have any
No
sense?
idea. No,
Because it
I
feels
have no.
like.
I know as a commentator, I know as a guy that you just talk basketball with,
Mhm.
he'll tell you you've got to let guys make mistakes.
That's good.
You've got to let guys make mistakes so you can correct them and they can be better. Otherwise, if the idea of correcting them is not playing them, they don't learn from anything. They just wind up playing scared. With all due respect to Mike Brown, I
Mhm.
feel like he tried to coach players into like a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously this is not the case for Domas and De'Aaron and those type of guys, but like the Terrence Davises, I mean
Mhm.
the interactions with him and Terrence Davis are unfortunately legendary at this point. Even
Yeah.
to a certain degree, like Kevin Herter, Chris
Yep.
Duarte, the whole saga around that too. It was always, I think Casey um he hit the nail on the head during, I think it was the 7-game win streak after Doug took over. He said Doug accentuates what you can do rather than harping on what you can't. And sometimes it felt like Mike was harping on what you can't do rather
Mhm.
than accentuating what you do. And as a young player, you have to find out what you can accentuate.
Yeah.
And Doug, at least in my conversations with him before he was Coach Christie, it was a lot of you gotta let these young guys play and figure out the game a little bit. They've got to learn the game. They've got to learn to feel the game.
Yeah, so to me, that's a really encouraging sign, I think, for both of them to come in and make an impact. Like, I love hearing that and knowing that they've got some of these young guys that can get minutes and get the experience and make mistakes and learn and be in that environment where they kind of know that it's gonna be okay and they'll still get on the court. Like, that makes me even probably more excited for the 2 of them, like, thinking
Mhm.
about how Doug will use them and kind of coach them in their early NBA careers.
You think the Kings do anything else before we reconvene for training camp, or are we
I don't
done?
know. I've looked around a lot. I feel like they could still use another, like, true power forward, but I keep looking at ideas, and I can't think of anyone. Like, I know the Kuzma thing was floated out there. I don't like it. I'm done, I think, putting energy into the idea of Kyle Kuzma. Like, it would probably be a fine
Will's
move.
like, I am not writing another Kyle Kuzma article.
That's
Absolutely
exactly what my thought was, like, I'll pass.
understood.
But,
Understood.
I don't know, like, it feels like they just have players in contracts that they're not going to be able to move, but at the same time, they still have the mid-level exception, so they could bring in someone for, like, nothing, theoretically, money-wise,
Mhm.
and, like, if they wanna send out a pick for someone under that 14.1 million, I think they could. I just don't know who it would be.
I don't either, man. I don't either. But I appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for joining us while you're out on the coast with the family. I see we got bobbleheads and autographed
Yeah,
baseballs and a bat and all of that exciting stuff behind you.
yeah. My parents are big time Giants fans, so,
Oh, good stuff.
my yeah. Will Clark signed bat that my mom got for my dad a few years ago.
Did we
It's
get
kind of
a
a prized
Barry
possession.
Bonds bobblehead a couple of days ago?
I don't think recently,
No. I know that
but
was a hot ticket
yeah,
the other day. All
yeah.
of the Dodgers fans who showed up to Oracle Park got them. Uh,
Great.
I appreciate you, Will. Give Hannah and Kennedy our love, and we'll connect again soon, real soon.
Thanks, Damien. Sounds good.
All right, it's a man.